And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's NBA Observations, everyone. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching us and truly appreciate you joining us. If you're a member, you get this early. So member up, please. $2.99 a month. We're talking about doing some extra things for the $2.99 a month. So go ahead, jump on it today. $2.99 a month. Become a member right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. But you'll get this early, so you will know what Calif and I said before anyone else. So become a member today, right there, and like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and also as well 5-star review as well would be really awesome to go ahead and help us out with those likes, those subscribes, those stars. I don't know. Supposedly they help. I don't know. If they do, sweet. Please keep on doing it right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Well, it is NBA Observations. I've got him back again. Please go ahead and give him a shout out at the Suave Report. It is Calif Poncy. Calif returning again for more. I'm happy because usually when we do these shows and we talk about doing it on a regular basis, it usually ends at 1 with me. So I'm really happy that you're back, my friend, because it's usually me. I usually rub people the wrong way. So I'm really glad you're back for another episode of NBA Observations.
Yeah, I'm enduring so far. It's been a real challenge, but no, I'm excited to be back and ready to talk about what's going on.
Sweet. And let's get into it. Some of the things that we had discussed were, like you said, pretty interesting to talk about, starting with your team. What a surprise. At the top of the NBA, once again, undefeated. Again, I've talked about for a long time, especially when it comes to the Lakers. Got to have depth. Got to have depth, because if you have depth, when you have people out, and in today's, I've got a hangnail, so I'm going to be hangnail observation. So I'm going to be out for today's game type of world. You got to have people that can come up and step up to the plate and give you 10, 15, 20, 25 a night. And in doing so, I see today that Oklahoma City has been without Jalen Williams this entire time, as we discussed on last week's show. But I'll tell you what, that hasn't slowed you guys down. SGA is still off to a great start. The 3-point shooting hasn't been great, but that really hasn't mattered now, has it?
No, I mean, it really, the 3-point shooting, I think until 1 or 2 games ago, was last. It might still be. I haven't checked since last night's game.
I think it's next to last after today, last night's performance.
I mean, I know prior to that game, I think they were sub 28% from 3 on the season or something, and they were still undefeated. So, I mean, you really just can see the identity of the Thunder is really what makes them such a special group, because it's just, everyone talks about that for every team. Like, every team has this identity, but I think with OKC, like, it really, from 1 to 18 now to 2-way guys, everyone seems to really be bought into defense comes first, try and jump the passing lanes, be really physical. Casey Wallace is leading the league in steals, and he's had, I think, 3 games with 4 more steals already this season. So yeah, I mean, it's just offensively, it's really been Shea and AJ Mitchell until last night, and finally, yesterday afternoon, I should say, and finally kind of the lid came off the rim for everybody, and they scored like 140 points against one of the worst playing teams I've seen in a long time in the Pelicans. I don't understand how they're so bad with a lot of players who I think are pretty good, but I didn't even really take a lot of pride in that one, on the fan side of me, just because of, the Pelicans are just terrible. It really just a pretty tough.
We're on Willie Green watch. I've been saying it for days now. I told one of my fellow hosts, Magic Man Sean Grice, we're on Willie Green watch, my friend. It's not a matter of days. I think it's a matter of hours.
Yeah, I mean, the bad part for them is they really, even more than Willie Green, who also needs to be probably let go, is they really need to fire Dumars already, and he's been their GM for like seven games.
And so, Troy Weaver.
Yeah, all of them. Clean house. But I think it's pretty out there. Their ownership group is not the most attentive. They're a lot more focused on the Saints than they are the Pelicans. So I imagine that we'll have Weaver and Dumars there kind of just running a horrible ship with multiple holes all over it for a few years here now with the Pelicans. But yeah, I mean, the Thunder, there's just not a ton to say with them. I mean, people have talked about this on some national podcasts. Like, they're honestly not that fun to talk about just because it's like everything about them is pretty known. Like even down to Shea tying Oscar Robertson's 20 points in a game record, which he's now sitting at 79 games in a row with at least 20 points. Like everything about the Thunder from top to bottom is just consistent and even, and you know exactly what you're going to get every night. And even when the threes aren't falling and the offense struggles, the defense is so good that it can overcome it. So, I mean, when they get healthy, I think I wrote and I said before this year, there's no reason why this year's team shouldn't be better than last year's team just based off of basic development and another year together and all that. And if they're 7-0 with this kind of, they're down 4 or 5 rotation guys some games. I don't see any reason why this isn't going to be another high 60s at least win team this year. So, I mean, it's been Shea and his Shayettes, you could say, on offense, but defensively they're just awesome.
Absolutely, my friend. They have been nothing short of excellent, and in a year where they'd be kind of like a letdown after you win a world championship, this team is too talented, too deep a roster right now, and whatever you think, one man down, the next man stands up and steps up. Kind of like what I've been seeing with the Lakers to some extent as well, until tonight when actually your top 2 players are out for said hangnail observation. So, yes.
Jared Vanderbilt ISOs tonight. I'm getting excited.
Yes, we can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton coming back for that Portland revenge game.
It's going to be something.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, thrilling. And in fact, there are days where I say to myself, I would love to have just take a day off from the Lakers coverage, because if they take the day off, why can't I? But I'm still going to do it. Still going to be there. And of course, if you're watching this on regular, you'll know exactly what the result is, and you'll know exactly my ranting later tonight on Monday night, what will be about that when I tell you my true feelings on blowing an opportunity to stay high up in the Western Conference to a team that's right below them in the standings. So yeah, absolutely makes zero sense to me. But okay, it is what it is. You know, they're only being paid millions of dollars. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, the Luka one to me is like he was out for the couple games. I'm in a dynasty basketball fantasy league, and we started up last year, and I fought off my inner Thunder fan, and I said, I don't know who I think is better at that time between Luka and Shea, but I know Luka is just such an insane stats player at a minimum. I'm gonna take Luka. He's out for most of last season, or it's weird, whatever. And then this year he's going insane, averaging 45 points a game or whatever. He misses 2 games, comes back. Clearly, whatever injury it was not hampering him from being awesome. And then now he's out again. So We're just peak NBA form. We're back.
I love it because the last time he was out for a week, he had like a 49-point game, smiling as he head to the bench. Next thing you know, next day, he's out for a week to 2 weeks for observation on his finger and a leg contusion. Last night, not a great shooting night for him and Austin, 5 of 25 from 3, but they still scored 130 points.
Yeah.
Luka with the triple-double, Austin with the double-double, both smiling and kidding about their bromance after the game. Yeah, both out. Great. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I've come to really appreciate that about Shea, is that I think he really probably enjoyed his 2 seasons of tanking basketball where he didn't play for half the year. And since then, he does not really sit out games. Like this Chet Holmgren thing is weird. Like I kind of figured it was just a stupid maintenance, like we're not going to play him back-to-backs thing because of his injury history. And now apparently he's actually has some back thing. And I don't know if he's even going to play tomorrow against the Clippers. But I've come to really appreciate that about Shea. Just looking at all around, is he always plays you're going to, unless he's actually hurt, you're going to get 75 plus games out of Shea for sure. So I don't take it for granted. Just looking at all his him and Giannis, I think are the ones that are kind of like that. They just play no matter what for the most part.
And as Magic Man Sean Grice told me earlier today, if the record from 2nd, 3rd to 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th is again very tight like it was last season, and 1 game, 2 games separates all these teams, those maintenance games really will come into play that you just kind of punted away. So again, we'll wait and see how that works itself out. The Lakers were able to get away with it last year as far as seeding goes, but we'll see what happens. But Calif, we've got more to discuss here on NBA Observations. Once again, it's Calif Poncy from the Suave Report. Please go ahead and check him out there. Like everything that he's doing when you're there. Go ahead and check it out and support him whenever you can. All right. Getting back into the league after that frustrating note there, I wanted to ask your thoughts on this because it really, when it comes down to is what we talk about is always the good, but the teams that are struggling right now in the league, there's a couple of them that really stand out. There's the Washingtons of the world, the Indianas of the world that through either injuries or sheer circumstance, it's not that fun right now at 1-5. And then there's the Utah Jazz, Sacramento Kings, where they're just not good teams. Dallas, again, your mileage may vary on if they're going to go ahead and get in the right direction before Kyrie comes back, but fire Nico seems to be the chant there. But in New Orleans and Brooklyn, you mentioned it already. As of this recording, they're both winless on the season. And I'll just make a note of this. You talked about New Orleans. We'll get back to them in a second because that is a mess. That is just a bonfire right now going on there. Brooklyn isn't much higher. I don't know if do you have access to the internet right now on a separate screen?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I want you to take a look at the Brooklyn box score last night and tell me something about what they're planning for and how it actually isn't working out. Because remember, Brooklyn, they drafted 5 players in the first round of this year's draft. I want you to tell me how many of those players actually played in yesterday's game.
2 of them, looks like.
Yeah. And for how many minutes?
Well, Drake Powell, got in there for a good solid 4. And then Yegor Jemin played 15.
Yeah. That's your future right there.
Yeah.
That's your future right there. So I don't know. Tell me where this goes wrong. I mean, they have 5 first-round draft picks they drafted this year. I think there's a real chance, Caleb, that they can blow all 5 of them and that all 5 will not hit, which is absolutely amazing. It's like taking a dartboard and you're at the local bar and you're missing the dartboard on each and every time, even if you're 2 feet in front of it, because there's players scattered throughout this draft, Caleb, that are playing and playing well. This is a better draft than last year's. Yet somehow Brooklyn, as of this point, seems to have struck fool's gold because they are ending up being the fool right now.
Well, like you said, we'll get back to the Pelicans later, but you're noticing that with both. Like yesterday, they're playing the Thunder. It was not close early. Like after a quarter, that game was over. And Derek Queen who they traded what's going to be a top 5 pick, barring weird lottery circumstances this year for him, straight up basically. And he didn't get in until 3 minutes left in the game, and they were down they're playing Kevon Looney. These teams right now that are just. I feel like there's a lot of good models in the league right now that you can build after. You got OKC and you have Houston and you have teams like this who they did build through the draft. They're doing what you did. Like they're trying to, they stock these draft picks, and looking back when those teams were bad, what they always did, no matter what, is you have to play the guys you're like, they're going to have stuff they're not very good at. Like Josh Giddey had a lot of things he wasn't good at for 3 years, and the Thunder still played him every game, 30 minutes, because they knew this guy, whether we have to trade him or we have to keep him, we have to know what we have with these guys. Like if you look at Michael Porter Jr., you want to resuscitate his trade value, fine. Claxton's a good player, but what's the point of playing Terrence Mann on this team? There's not one. Like he's like a 9th, 10th man on a good team, and he's 29 or 28. It's not like he's some guy who is some prospect who you can kind of develop into a good player. Like he is who he is at this point. And New Orleans is doing the same thing with the Loonies of these teams just don't make sense. And there's
DeAndre Jordans of the world.
Yes. You drafted a center who you knew was raw. That was the whole thing. I did a little bit of pre-draft stuff because the Thunder are always fortunate enough to have a pick up there in the top 15 or 1 or 2 first-round picks. And I did some work on Queen, and I really liked him. But, like, the big thing is, like, he's not ready. Like, he's out of shape. He's kind of big. I mean, he's going to have to work into NBA shape. You're going to have to get him a lot of reps to get him to be an NBA-level defensive player as a big. And instead, yeah, they signed DeAndre Jordan, and they have Kevon Looney. Like, what's the point of trading? You know, they could have traded Cam Boozer or Darren Peterson or one of these guys for Derek Queen, who you're not even playing when your team is awful. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I mean, this Brooklyn thing's not any better, really. I mean, you're right. I came into this, I was thinking about this because you told me you kind of wanted to weigh these two teams against each other. And I was thinking about, like, I don't know. I just watched the Pelicans. I don't know. Like, they'll obviously win. It's the NBA, but they don't seem to care. Their players that are talented aren't playing up to their ability. Like, they're doing nothing well. And then you look at this team, and yeah, like, you draft Gem and the other ones, if you want to say, like, they were late first, kind of just shots, and you already know they're not going to work out fine. You drafted Igor Demon in the top 10. Like, and you're starting Tyrese Martin, who was the 51st pick 4 years ago. This is not a guy who's going to turn into the Gem for you. Like, I don't know. As just a fan of the league, seeing teams that are run like this are so frustrating. And there's, like, opposites of each other, because the Kings, the Sacramento's doing the same thing. Like, they just have all these jumbles of players that don't make sense, and they don't value, like, youth development. It just makes no sense to me. As someone who's fortunate enough to cover and root for a team that, you know, always, even when they were terrible, the plan was always so clear, and they always did stuff that at least just made sense. Like, that just has never been a hard thing for me to grasp. And these teams don't do things that make sense over and over and over again.
I'll just say this again, when it comes to the Nets, I'm looking at that NBA draft board for this last summer's draft. Cedric Howard, Carter Bryant, they both could have been picked ahead of Igor Drummond, as far as, you know, at number 8. They both were there, and both have played and impressed at times for their teams. Ryan Kalkbrenner is shooting 80%, 2 block shots a game, 9 points, 7 rebounds a game. It's not eye-popping as far as the points and rebounds, but he's the starting center on the Charlotte Hornets. Now, mind you, they don't have much there left, but he's not embarrassing anyone. I understand he's slow-footed, but he's not embarrassing anyone. 2 blocks a game, 9.7 rebounds, 80% from the field. Let me stress that again, 80% from the field. He has probably scored more points than those entire 5 draft picks. And I look at that, and there were 4 draft picks. Let's forget about Igor for a second. There were 4 draft picks, 4 other chances they could have gotten a player like Kalkbrenner later on in the first round, and they blew it. He blew right by them all and got drafted in the second round. Plus, you know, there's other players. Asa Newell's been talked about. He's had a couple good games. There are other players that are mixed in there that you know, have had an opportunity so far. Or they could have packaged all of those picks up and moved up even higher in the draft. I just don't get it. I just don't understand how you can blow a draft like this. And again, I already know it's only 7 games in. I realize that things can totally change. But right now, when you've already punted on the season 7 games in, Calif, play your rookies. Play them a lot of minutes. Play them until they drop, because it just does not make any sense that you're playing the guys that you are. Cam Thomas, we all know he can score. But the fact is, he's not going to be staying there. So why are you playing him? Michael Porter, I understand he's probably a trade piece for you at this point in time. That's fine. But some of these other guys that you mentioned are just like, they walked on, or they looked good in tryouts, they looked good in camp, and they got latched on. Jordy Fernandez, I understand. God bless him. That guy wants to win. God bless him. The guy wants to win. But he has been dealt a bad hand. In other words, you just go to at this point, you just say to the front office, hey, look, you drafted these guys. I'm going to play them, but I want to guarantee. I want to guarantee in all my years, I want to make sure that my job security is there going forward. So when we finally have a good team that you build around me, I'm going to go ahead and be able to coach them. That's what I would say. Because Jordi Fernandez, I think he's a good coach, but he has been dealt a really bad hand. They're going to be awful. 15 wins could be a reach at this point. And all 5 of those draft picks right now look abysmal, and they look all like draft busts at this point. I hope I'm wrong, but at this point, 7 games in, they all look really bad in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, it's just always been weird to me when teams do this. Like Portland did this a couple of years ago when they kind of had this weird mix of old guys, and I like Portland. I think they're a good, solid team, as we've been over the last couple of times I've been on here. But I mean, they draft Scoot Henderson, they draft Shaedon Sharpe, who are 2 clear, like, okay, they need the ball and they need runway. Like these are guards usually don't walk in and don't like change the world. Like it's just that's not what the history of the league suggests is going to happen. They need time to develop into who they're going to be, and they need a lot of reps. And they like wouldn't start them together, or they wouldn't. I'm the exact like circumstances are escaping me right now, but I mean I know because one of my best friends is a Trailblazers fan, so I always keep a really close eye on him. And they would like start a vet over one of those 2 guys, or they'd start. It was like Malcolm Brogdon for a year. Like they'd always start Malcolm Brogdon over Scoot Henderson, and it's why? Like are you going to win the championship because you're starting Malcolm Brogdon? No, you're not even going to win a play-in game. Like I don't know why you're doing this. And now, I mean, with the Nets and the Pelicans, this is taken up to like the 100th percentile of what are you guys doing? Like the Pelicans have this jumble of players who make no sense. None of them like to pass. The only one who likes to pass at all is Derek Queen, because he's a pretty talented creator for the big man position, and they don't play him. Instead, they play Kevon Looney, who makes sense in the exact ecosystem he was in for the first 10 years of his career, which is no one pays attention to me. I can get offensive rebounds and I can get dunks. And that there's always been a role for guys like that, and there always will be, but not on the New Orleans Pelicans, who are going to win 20 games. Like it's just not. Well, why is he playing? DeAndre Jordan should be on the Amazon Prime NBA show right now. Like, why is he even on a team? None of it makes any sense. And I mean, if we're going to get the original question that you sent me was who's going to win a game first? I don't know. Is it like I mean, just looking at what's Brooklyn's schedule, I don't know who's.
Colin Murray Boyles was picked after Igor. He's averaging 11 points and shooting 46% from 3. Toronto they're doing backflips in the Toronto front office right now. They're laughing. They're laughing at Brooklyn, Calif. They're laughing at them.
Yeah, I even kind of get the Yegor thing, because there's a place for that type of player where they're tall and good passers and can theoretically shoot, and positional size has never been more important than it is now in terms of like guards and wings. But like if you want to take him, that's fine. I get the vision. I see it. I know why they did it. He was talked about as high as the top 3 at one point during early last season in college basketball, and obviously.
But he also dropped as well just before the draft.
Yeah, I mean he can't shoot. He can't shoot. He couldn't shoot, and when you're a guard, you got to be able to shoot, and he can't, or at least couldn't in college. Maybe his stats are okay. Evidently, it's not leading to much winning, but after that, like you look at Traore and Serif, like they're all the same type of player, and at most in the NBA at one time. Again, like all these guys are kind of that Josh Giddey-ish mold of guy, where they're high-level passers, they see the game really well, they rebound well, they're tall for guards, but they can't shoot. And once you do that, like you can at most have one of these guys on the court in the NBA at one time, at most. And they drafted.
But Josh Giddey, to his credit, and I know my Australian friends, especially Mark AK Xbox, who's a super fan of Giddey, will tell me this. He has improved his shooting dramatically. His defense is still what it is, but he has become a much more complete player. I mean, the talk of all-star is not so far-fetched now, because especially the way they're doing it with the Americans versus the international type deal. And he got a triple-double the other night at MSG. That always helps the limelight. So he has improved on the shot. Mm-hmm. And there's no saying that those guys won't either. But right now, it just looks bad for Brooklyn right now. And New Orleans, it's not a whole lot better because, like you said, they made that deal for Derek Queen. They're not even playing him substantially. They put these old guys in front of him, right and left. They pick up DeAndre Jordan off the street to go ahead and start him in front of Derek Queen, which I don't get. I do not understand. If you're already 0-6, why not play Derek Queen as much as you can to learn as much as you can? Because you've got so much writing on him because of the fact that you're already most likely going to have to give up a very high pick to Atlanta in exchange of one of the worst deals of the century, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this team in New Orleans, and they have Zion I like, and I think you know what he is, and he has his warts, and he's got to figure those out if he's ever going to be a really like high level winning player. But I like him if he's on a team like this, and you have these unknowns of like you can start Fears, and then Jordan Hawkins, who they drafted in the lottery, and have since just decided isn't in their rotation, even though every time he's in the game he does pretty good for some reason. And then you got Queen and you have Zion. Like you have this lineup that's perfect for this season where you gave away your pick, which is malpractice, and your fans are all going to be really mad about it. But like at least you can sell them on this lineup of like, well, we don't know about any of these guys. If we play all of them, one or two of them will pop, and this is why we're doing. This is why we're doing what we're doing. And if they don't,
Fears
then it's
going to be good though. I think I like Fears.
I
Fears
like it.
Yeah. I think so. But they need to go ahead and move Trey. I like Trey a lot. I think he's going to be a very valuable commodity around the rest of the league. If they offered him tomorrow, I think he would be more valuable, or he would be more desired by teams than Zion right 100%. Now at this moment.
I mean, Trey Murphy is awesome. Like even as a Thunder fan, and they wouldn't do this. Like any team that's trying to win games, Trey Murphy is like the archetype of a kind of player you'd want right now. Like Minnesota, he'd be perfect. Like you can just think of all these teams. He'd just be perfect on these teams, just setting aside if it's even possible, just theoretically placing him in the lineup. I bet they could get multiple first-round picks for him, if not, upwards of like 3. Like he's on a good contract. He's valuable. He does everything well, but he's not good enough to be your best player. And Zion's probably their best player, but he's probably their most functional player. Those are not always the same thing. So I agree. I'd trade Trey Murphy. I'd get the 3 to 4 first-round picks that he'd fetch. We saw a player. Not that they aren't super similar, but they're kind of like the same, at least positionally. Like Mikal Bridges a few years ago from the Knicks got like however many first-round picks, right? I mean, and I don't think he'd get that because that was a weird situation and just not even that bad because the Knicks are probably going to be good, but just a really weirdly expensive trade for them to make. But if you can get 3 to 4 first-round picks for Trey Murphy and maybe like another young player, I don't see why you don't do it. And then, trade Kevon Looney back to the Warriors for a top 58 protected second-round pick. Just stop paying him a salary and don't have him on your team. And same with DeAndre Jordan. Like they probably gave him a 1-year non-guaranteed contract, waive him to go, like I said, be on a studio show somewhere. And all of a sudden it makes way more sense. You're still going to be bad, but at least what you're doing has a point. Like right now what they're doing, there's no point to it. And they just hired this new front office, so they can't just fire him already, but they really should.
They really should. Herb Jones is another name that might be on the trading. Okay, 1 year, his shooting is not reliable. You have no idea what you're going to get from 1 year to the next. Right now, it looks stellar, but he doesn't take enough shots to even matter. If you can shoot 46% from 3, but if you're only taking 5 shots a game, period, overall, it doesn't really help your cause a whole lot. But defensively, he is a above average defender. He's been considered a top defender. I'll kill on a losing team right now. I'll just say above average defender at best right now. But yeah, he's another name to watch. And again, if it gets worse, I think the front office needs to start looking at moving those assets. Normally would say, oh, these are young assets. You might want to try to keep them together, but their situation is so bleak at this point, Calif, and the fact that you're going to give up a pick in next year's draft unprotected, you might want to cover your assets by start looking to trade Zion, Trey, and Herb at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't even know about Zion because I just think I don't know what team would trade you anything for him. And I don't mind if you keep him because he's still pretty young and he's pretty good. But like the reality of this team that is even weirder is they're going to get pretty expensive. Like, it's not a cheap roster. I mean, you had an expiring contract in McCollum, and you for some reason traded it for a non-expiring contract in Jordan Poole, if I remember correctly, who's not a winning basketball player. And the fact that Golden State got him to be one for a finals run is the Warriors' black magic that they did for the 2010s. Like, it makes no sense that that looking at what he's done since, it's insane that he was ever so valuable and so good on an NBA Finals team.
It's just that again, that point in time where a guy plays his best at the right time. Hint, Austin Reeves. So, and he cashes in. What kind of player do you get after he signed? I just think there's a point where they get the pen and they start signing, and somehow it's just like, from an old fable or not, just like the power, their aura just starts draining away. This light comes and you just start seeing, and they regress into the player that they once were before they had their career season. It's amazing how that is in professional sports. I'll just leave it at that, Calif. I'll just leave it at that. I don't wish that on Austin, because there's a very real chance we might have to pay the max to keep him.
Yes.
Just putting that out there. People think that, it's so funny because Laker fans think, oh, well, it's the Lakers. Of course, we're going to get him at a discount. Of course, we're going to get him at a discount. I just cannot stress enough to my audience, Calif, that he is 28. He has got one chance to cash in. One chance to get generational money for 4 or 5 years. Why on God's green earth would you give anyone a discount on that? You've already given a discount by re-signing with the Lakers once. Why would you do it again? Why?
No,
if I was his rep, I would just walk away. I would just say, okay, you left $10, $20 million, $30 million, $50 million on the table just because goodbye.
Yeah.
Unless you got something lined up, goodbye. Absolutely.
Yeah, like he already has been on this ridiculous contract that in the moment made no sense that he was that cheap for the Lakers on the contract he's currently on. Like, the Spurs had all this cap space, and you can see kind of why now. Like, they had this team, they kind of prioritized defensive players a little bit more than what Austin Reeves provides, as good of an offensive player as he is. But there's all these, if he was, I don't know if the team would be very good, but if he was on like Washington right now, or like if he was on Brooklyn that we just talked about, he would average probably like 31 points a game for the whole season, just because he's such a talented shot maker, and he's decent with the ball in his hands. He's a good playmaker. No, this is a max guy, even in the second apron era. So Lakers fans listening that are, I just think you're going to be disappointed on that one. Reeves probably rightfully would go to the front office and say, I've already given you your guys' discount time. It's time I'm cashing in.
2 weeks ago, they were talking, a lot of our fans, they said, I wouldn't pay more than 25. I was saying I wouldn't pay more than $25 million coming into this season. Yeah, he's proven us all wrong. And you know what? God bless him. I thought I was kind of worried when I saw him eating popcorn at the front row of the Thomas and Mack, chomping. I'm like, is he taking his summer off seriously? Apparently he did, because he always talked about it was golf, and I saw him eating popcorn. So I'm like, oh, I don't know if he took it seriously. This is good. And this could be his cash out year. Yeah, he did. He took it seriously, and he's taking it seriously now, although, hangnail. So he'll be out tonight against Portland. But yeah, getting back to those two, I don't know which one is going to have, it's going to win the game first. I don't think it really matters. Both are terrible teams. Willie Green, I think if you're Willie Green, just say, you know what, it's time for me to hit the golf course and get paid whatever I get paid on the back end, and just cash out, hang out there with Frank Vogel and Mike Budenholzer on the golf course. Although Vogel's assistant coach in Dallas, sorry, can't he's busy working. So, but he's still getting paid by Phoenix. So, which is, even better. But I'll just say this, both of those teams, you can see why they are so bad right now. I think of the two, New Orleans has the most desirable assets. And sorry, Jordan Poole, you're not one of them with your contract. Unless he's not an expiring. No, he's got another year. No, that's what made that Washington trade even worse. Is that correct?
Yeah, like that's why Like, I don't think either one of those guys is particularly valuable to anyone on their contract figure, but at least they were about to get out of it with CJ, and then they, for some reason, bought into more years with Jordan Poole. I don't know. They're just so bad. They're just terrible.
And if you're DeJounte Murray, you're like, what did I do to deserve this? What did I just do? What did I do? Did I say something wrong? He just, DeJounte Murray, he comes back, he's been traded twice and he's been in two not great situations back to back. I think he's a really good player. I just don't know what's going to go on because, like you said, Fears has got to play now. Mm-hmm. Queen has got to play now. These guys have got to play at this point. You just might have as well throw this. I just don't understand why these poor teams don't play their young guys more. Like in Utah, they start out the season, Ace Bailey in preseason was getting all these minutes and all these shots. All of a sudden, he's like off the bench 5-10 minutes a game. And I'm going to myself, what's going on here? I thought Ace Bailey was going to be your guy. Now they've got him playing a little bit more finally, but a top 10 pick. Come on, Malawash with the Suns.
Yeah.
Oh, he's raw. He's played the game of basketball. Your team sucks.
You're terrible. Makes no sense.
Play the guy.
Yeah.
I don't get it. No. How do you know they're going to be good or bad if you don't let them play?
And when you draft these guys, like if you're so it seems like Phoenix's idea is same with New Orleans. Their idea is, by the way, I'll get back to what I was just saying, but I just went out of my own curiosity, went and looked up New Orleans cap sheet for this season. Yeah. They are $3 million away from being in the luxury tax. They're $3 million. They are paying 4 players over $25 million this season. Like, they're just terrible. And then you look at you're paying even if. Why did they sign the DeAndre Jordan thing? Makes no sense, and I don't think that either one of us can even come up with an explanation for why they did that like a week ago. Why did you pay Looney? I want to say a multi-year contract. I think it was like a 2-year deal maybe that they gave to Looney. They already had Messi, he's good. He played last year, and he is like a functional NBA big. What? They just make.
They don't seem to think so. Calif, they don't seem to think so. No, it's like Khalil Ware in Miami. These guys, him and Missy, they'll get like a 29 and 15 game, and you think to yourself, man, can they put it together? Then the next thing you know, they're like CND, coaching decision, DNP. So I don't understand. These guys have got to take their lumps. Look at the number 1 draft pick right now, Cooper Flagg. Yes, I understand he's playing point guard. It's not his best position. He is taking his lumps right now, and I am convinced he will be a better player on the other end for it when he doesn't have to be the day-to-day point guard. That's the only silver lining I could give to Dallas fans right now. But when you have those young guys right now, Calif, you've got to play them to see if they're good.
Yeah, with Flagg, all this is doing is with Kyrie. The reality is and with how good the West is, this is just probably kind of a lost season for Dallas. Like, it's just the unfortunate reality. And all you're doing right now is in 4 years, when Flagg is your best player, you're adding another tool to his bag. That's all. Like, you're just doing another thing that he's developing that he can do, and that makes sense. Even if you're not that good, just we're in complete and total agreement. I have no notes. Like, it's just these teams that are the 2 worst teams. Like, the Thunder have played the Wizards, and they've played the Kings, and they've played the Pelicans already. And the Wizards have way less talent than the Pelicans. They have like 3 players on their team that I think can be like plus NBA starters one day is all. And they are so much better than the Pelicans. They just seem to know what they're doing, or they seem like they're trying to win the basketball game that they're playing in. And I think with the Pelicans, the roster makes no sense. The players don't seem to really respect. I don't want to say respect because I don't know, but they're not trying for the head coach right now. And there's these things there's these motives like you got to play Derek. You just at some point I would think you have to play Derek Queen. You just have to. You traded way too much to not play this guy a lot of minutes, and they're just not because of DeAndre Jordan. It just makes no sense, and there's nothing positive going on. There's 0 positive things other than I think Fears is all right. he was a question mark for me. And I agree with you. I think he's pretty good.
5 words. You're going to lose anyway. So why don't you play these players in Brooklyn? Just play your 5 players to see if they'll stick. That's the only way you'll know for sure if they're going to be somebody in the league. Same thing with, come on, Molosh. Phoenix, stop this dream of being a play-in team. Maybe a 10th or 11th spot is what you may be shooting for, but that's a 10th or 11th. Let Kaman Malowish grow. He might be the center of your future that Mark Williams may not pan out to be, but you don't know because you don't play him. And the same thing can be said on several other of these teams. Wizards with Trey Johnson, they have done a lot of good things with him. He should be a starter, but at least he's getting a lot of minutes off the bench. He has been a contributor from day one, and more power to the Wizards, who seem finally, I know they only won 1 game, but they seem to have a direction now with their young players. Sarr has had a good game or two. Balil Coulibaly has had a good game or two. They're not piecing it together. They're all doing it like in one good game each, but you start to see the signs. You're seeing the signs that there might be something going forward. And the fact that they have a ton of cap space, it should take note. These guys will go after an Austin Reeves or Trae Young if they are out there next summer. I mean, you don't laugh. I mean, they've got $100 million right now pending as far as that's concerning available cap space this next summer. And if they want an Austin Reeves or Trae Young, they'll throw the book at them to get them. I don't know if it'd be great for their long term, Calif, but at least I see a vision for them in mind.
Yeah, I totally agree with the Wizards. I think I said this last week. The thing that I am coming to just appreciate in this era of basketball is if a team has an identity or they seem to know what they're doing and what the moves they're doing make sense. Like these Washington players that they've drafted, I don't think fit is a huge deal. Like when you're at the stage of team building they're at. And so I don't even know if this is part of their, calculus on this, but like Coulibaly and Trey Johnson and Sarr and Keyshawn George, these guys make sense as a lineup. Like they could run out a 4 or 5 man lineup, these guys. And I don't think it's going to be like a disgrace to the game of basketball. I think it's going to be a team that makes sense together, at least, even if they're not very good yet. And then it's the opposite if you look at Brooklyn. Like Brooklyn's like, we're going to draft 4 guards. None of them can shoot. We're going to draft a big guy who needs the ball in Danny Wolf. Nothing that they're doing makes sense. So I also finally is the right word, because who doesn't want to root for the Wizards? Like they have who hates the Washington Wizards? No one. Like, come on. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan in football. I feel similarly. Like you're going to just hate the Browns? Like we've never done anything to anyone. We're awful. Like leave us alone. The Wizards are the same thing. So I'm pulling for them. And I think they're on the right path at least.
Shout out to my friend Matt Moderno, who did the team preview for the Washington Wizards, and a guy who's used to that kind of pain, Calif. So shout out to him, and hopefully I can get him back on the show here in the coming weeks to go ahead and give people an update on that. But at least, again, I see a vision for them. I don't know what's going on in New Orleans. Maybe they need to send the fire department there because it is burning down. And with Brooklyn, I don't know how you blow it 5 times, but early on, it looks like they blew it 5 times.
Yeah. Mathematically speaking, just one of them has to be something. And I still think Jemin will end up being a pretty good player down the line, but right now I don't know if Danny Wolf is hurt. Maybe he is, but like on that box score I looked at, he wasn't even on the 15-man roster, so he probably is out with some injury right now. But I don't know. If I'm as bad as they are, and I honestly get like the Wizards with Trey Johnson at the beginning of the season, you got to start the vets you have in before it gets to like December, and then everyone's heads come together and you talk about a buyout with Middleton and McCollum, and then you really move in the young guys. But I get like the first month of the season, you got to start the veterans, and maybe Trey Johnson doesn't start the first month, whatever. That's fine with me. It doesn't bother me really. But this New Orleans thing, it's not that they're starting their veterans, they're signing new veterans to play over their guys who aren't playing at all, in the case of DeAndre Jordan and Derek Queen. So I don't know. I'll to wrap a bow on the original question, I'll say New Orleans will win a game first, just because I actually think they have talented players on their team. And I don't really think that's the case with Washington. Like, they do, but they're way fewer. And
I mean, Brooklyn, you mean?
Brooklyn, sorry, yes. And so I'll say New Orleans will win a game first, but if they both went 0-82, I'd be surprised, because that's like mathematically impossible, but it makes sense in my head right now on November 3rd.
Cam Thomas and Michael Porter. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Brooklyn, because Cam Thomas and Michael Porter both are balling. They're getting as many shots as I anticipated that they would get as many shots as they would like. I don't really think that's smart. I think that you would just give those guys limited minutes going forward and just make them available for a trade later on and just play your young guys. But hey, Fernandez, he doesn't care. He doesn't care what the front office wants at all. He wants to throw guys he thinks can get him close to winning right now. And as maybe, I would love to just put my arm around for Jordy and say, Jordy, you're a good coach.
Yeah.
You've proven already you're a good coach in this league. Just take the L on this one. The front office has stacked the deck against you. You just play another hand. You know what? Take the L. Just put the fold. Just play the 5 guys that you play. Just put them as far as in there, 30 minutes each for the rest of the season. Put Cam down to 20 minutes a game. Put Porter Jr., MPJ, 20 minutes a game. Everybody already knows what they can do. You just keep those 2 healthy, because they're going to be gone by the end of the season. And that's it. You're just not doing yourself any favors. But I have a feeling I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say they're going to be the ones that win the game first, simply because MPJ and Cam Thomas will hit for 40 each. They'll do a double 40 and they'll single-handedly win by 2 over the Sixers or something like that, with Embiid out of the lineup or something like that. Or with another team like the Lakers that takes its best players out of the lineup like tonight. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see who wins this incredibly sad contest we have going here. See who comes out on top.
Incredibly sad indeed. But it is, of course, Calif Poncy from the Suave Report. Truly appreciate you being here. One thing I wanted to add before we went into our last part of the conversation on the NBA Cup, and that was Dylan Harper, who we just found out through Shams Charania that has calf strain, the dreaded calf strain. Luka, prime example, he was out for months with that. He'll be reevaluated in a few weeks. I had said before that last week, I think I was with you when I said I think that DeAndre Fox needs to go when he comes back. I really think it's a poor fit between all those 3 guards, because those 2 guards are the future of this team, being Harper and Castle. Now, I don't know what you'd have to do. I guess Fox is going to be able to, when he comes back to the lineup, be able to stroll on in there and justify himself with his plan going forward. But what I saw early on in the season, because this is going to be a point where we're going to forget about Dylan Harper, because he's going to be out for at least a month and a half, what have you. I really think that their future, though, in San Antonio, as they come into the Wednesday night to meet the Lakers, I really think that their future should be with that duo. I really think that they should trade Ayton for Triple J. I was thinking the other day, I'm driving along, who would I think trade De'Aaron Fox for would be a really good fit? And with the problems in Memphis, and if you trade away Ja, De'Aaron Fox for Triple J, kind of like that if I was in San Antonio.
I don't mind that one. I just am still a pretty firm believer that you give that duo this season to figure out and see if it's anything. And just the thing, that team's good, and we all know that. And like, Wemby is technically a ball handler, even though he's 7'7". Like, Castle isn't really a super great ball handler yet. I just think if you trade Fox away this year, you're just going to be without a lot of guys to handle the ball. And I think that they're good enough where they could probably
got 2
win.
already if they're when they're healthy. And if you trade for let's just say a Triple J and an SPJ, just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. No, I mean, if that's a trade I would actually really like for San Antonio's, if they were able to move Fox for a Jaren Jackson. And I mean, if they were able to get Scottie Pippen in that would be just classic Spurs magic getting that, because I think he's pretty good.
Because let me ask you this, do you think you could win now in a playoff matchup with Harrison Barnes as your starting power forward at this age? I know he's won championships previously, but at this age.
I mean, with San Antonio, to me, it depends. Like, what do you mean by win now? Like, are they going to beat Denver or OKC? I don't think so, unless Wemby is somehow even better than we all think he is. But I don't think so. But could they win a round or two? I think they could if they got the right matchups.
Okay, I don't. I think that forward tandem, Champagnie and Harrison Barnes need to be upgraded. You could move Vassell, who is now at the shooting guard. You could move him easily to the small forward and pop a Triple J in there, and I would just be like, okay, it's time to go home. Don't even bother going in the paint ever again with Triple J or Wembanyama. And for Memphis, because that's another team that we could be talking about here in a week to 2 weeks that's going off the rails as well after the suspension of John Morant for a game, because John Morant looks to be someone that might not be staying his entire future in Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, Zion and Ja are like this, are very similar to me for different reasons, where it's just like they're these talents that you can't deny, and when they're playing well, like when Zion was in that play-in game against the Lakers a couple of years ago before he hurt his hamstring, it's like when they're playing well, there's nothing like watching these guys play currently in the league, but they just don't really seem to be playing well all that often, and they're really expensive, and they have their off the court weirdness with both for different stuff, and
the coach doesn't really. This particular coach does not really accentuate their style of play.
No, and so they're both just, Ja would have more trade value than Zion, I think, just because Zion's injury history is so long and so problematic. But they both would be really interesting trade candidates, because I think they would make whatever team they went to unquestionably better. But I also think that I don't think there'd be a lineup around the block for either one of them. Personally,
okay. For Ja, no, I don't think there's going to be a line of buyers, but I do think, like I said, if you could figure out a way to move Ja, I think a good replacement for that team to fill that point guard hole would be De'Aaron Fox. And you would get out of the Triple J contract, which I think would be the bigger of the two contracts between him and De'Aaron Fox. The De'Aaron Fox would be a little easier to the pocketbook for Memphis. And then Triple J could go to a place where he can still excel going forward, and his style would accentuate perfectly with Wemby's. And again, I'm not trying to do this because I want them to win in San Antonio. I'm a Lakers fan, true and true. But when I look at things as an NBA GM quite a bit, and it just hit me. I'm like, dang, if I was in San Antonio right now, I'd kind of, dissension in Memphis. I'd kind of want to ring that number, see what I can try to do.
Yeah, I just think if Memphis ended up trading Ja and they decided that they wanted to blow it up and kind of do a little retool thing, I just don't think it really makes sense for them to. I think it makes more sense to them to maybe get a package of young guys and picks back more than like another all-star level guy like that, just because they have all those extra picks from Orlando now from the Bane trade. They'd probably pick up 1 to 2 for Ja. They'd probably pick up 3 to 4 for Jaren Jackson. And then you kind of have this guy who, I don't want to put the cart to the head of the horse with Cedric Howard, but he can at least be your star of he can be a fun rebuilding player at a minimum, and who knows if he's more than that.
Well, remember the Spurs, while they have Dylan Harper at the top of the draft, remember Carter Bryant hasn't played so poorly himself, right there in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's San Antonio drafts is going to be awesome. It's just what they do.
So De'Aaron Fox and Carter Bryant for Triple J and SPJ?
I don't hate the framework because I really like Jaren Jackson for San Antonio, but I almost think that could maybe be turned into a three-way thing where maybe De'Aaron Fox goes somewhere else. I just don't know what the point of adding a De'Aaron Fox would be for Memphis in that spot where you're going to clearly.
Well, if they've already moved, they would have to move Ja.
Yeah, no, I'm saying even in there, like I just don't know. Like you're going to pay a guy a lot of money and you're going to be pretty bad because I mean, if De'Aaron Fox is your best player, you're not going to be any good, probably likely. I mean, look at the Kings; they were half decent for 1 year and they were 2-seed or whatever, but they won 48 games. It was just a weird year. So I don't know. I like where your head's at. I like Jaren Jackson on the Spurs. I don't know that I like De'Aaron Fox in Memphis. So it's a league of 3-team deals lately. So
who knows?
I'm
just saying. If I was San Antonio, I'd keep my eyes.
They should sniff around that for sure.
Situation. I agree. What's going on there? If it starts to go south, just keep that phone on standby.
As just fans of other teams, what we should be worried about is they are the ones who call New Orleans for Trey Murphy because the combination of San Antonio always making good trades and New Orleans always making bad trades. I just don't like the combination of those two things as someone who.
That would be bad. Yeah, that would be bad to throw that in there. What if they go for Jones and Trey?
Well, that seems like something New Orleans can go add Fox to their list of guards who love shooting and aren't that conducive to winning. It seems like something that would fit their culture.
Seems like, hey, want another point guard there and there? Yeah. All right, sounds good. Sorry you drafted one, but hey, here's another one to go right there instead.
The Fierce Fox pool lineup would do wonders in New Orleans for sure.
With Murray, Murray coming back and say, what did I do?
Yeah.
What did I do
to
deserve this? Thank God he's being paid an NBA salary. That's all I'll say. But before we head on out, my friend, and before you tell everybody what you're doing with the Suave Report and everything else that you want to go ahead and say out there, the NBA Cup started. If you or anybody else didn't notice, I think the only way people notice these days is that the courts changed color into those, God forbid, obscene numbers with the stupid looking cup deal that just obliterates half your screen when you're watching it. And if you have the wrong television on the wrong day, it can really kind of hurt your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I understand NBA Cup's a little bit of money. The Lakers won the first one, but I saw what it did to the Lakers. And I don't know if I mentioned it to you before. I saw what it did to the Lakers in the weeks after. They spended so much effort. Now, they should try hard every single game. That goes without saying. But they put something extra. They had an extra game.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually played 83 games that year. They won the NBA Cup. And they felt it. They felt it for weeks afterwards. San Antonio was bad. They went into San Antonio. They looked bad right afterwards. They for weeks, they didn't recover and start playing the basketball that they were used to playing at that time until sometime in January. So that being said, the NBA Cup now in its third year, it's just nobody really cares if you're the general fan out there. I mean, I don't even know if us NBA HoopHeads really care. I certainly don't. I didn't like the idea in the first place. The play-in, I've gotten used to and kind of warmed up to in recent years, but the NBA Cup, I don't. This is only a made-for-TV money deal that just for me, I just think it's okay. In a league where you already have regular season games where so many players sit out, I don't get it. I don't understand why you're prioritizing other games over other games and not focusing on what these teams are doing to load manage these. Michael Jordan has to call these people out on load managing, and it still doesn't seem to change one iota. Your thoughts on the NBA Cup? Does anybody really care about it anymore?
No. I don't think anybody ever really cared about it in the first place. Like it was new. So it was like, a fun new thing, but I don't think anybody ever really, the Thunder were in the finals last year and it was good for that team because they just needed to be in more like quote unquote high pressure moments like that. And I guess in the final, maybe like it's cool that you're playing for a trophy or whatever, but for 98% of the NBA Cup games, like, no, not really. I think it's obvious. Silver's been open about it. It's just like kind of a ripoff of European soccer. They do their kind of in-season tournament things, and it's just different because they've been doing those in Europe for like hundreds of years. Like it's just what they do there. So of course they try because people have always tried forever. And the NBA players don't even try in the All-Star games. Like what you think and I don't think it's not that they're not trying, but are they going to give more effort because it's an NBA Cup game, which I guess is what the league would hope was the case, or else I don't know what the point would be. I don't know. I don't think so until probably the final or maybe the Final Four, like the Pacers, the year that they played the Lakers, and like the Pacers were really open about how hard they were trying to win it and everything. And these guys are competitive guys, and that's fine. But does anyone care fan-wise? No, I just don't. I talk to people who love the NBA all the time. I talk to family, I talk to friends, and not one person has ever been like, are you excited for the NBA Cup later? No, if I am, I'm excited for the basketball game, not because it's an NBA Cup game. Like, I just don't think it matters. I don't think anybody really cares. It's bringing in money for the league, I'm sure, just because now the sponsorship deal with Emirates, so they'll keep it going. But I don't think fans care, and if anyone does, I don't know why. Like, it doesn't add anything to. Like last year, the Thunder won the actual championship. Am I devastated that they lost to the Bucks, who, by the way, won that thing that no one remembers because the finals in December and the Bucks weren't very good. I just don't think it matters.
Oh, and take it from one whose team did win it. I mean, it was great for all of about 10 minutes for a post-game show, but after that, I saw the effect it had. Milwaukee came out of it a little bit better last season. They played a little bit, but it does take something out of you because you are playing an extra game at, like you said, a really high level. And in doing so, it just, I don't know. I understand it's a made for TV ratings deal, but as the years go on, it's going to turn out to be one of those things that is just not going to continue to work out long term for the league, like their all-star stuff and just so many things that the NBA has done that's fallen flat. The play-in is actually something that has worked and will continue to work because, again, the implications of that is there, and that's something obviously that you can't take away of what happens to the winners of those plans. But for the NBA Cup, unless you really add something besides just cold hard cash for the players that no one else gets out of it, I don't know how much longer of interest is going to be, like you said, for anyone to go ahead and catch.
Yeah, maybe the target audience isn't us who are going to watch the league no matter what. Maybe it's for like the younger kids who see the bright courts and like it. Like I don't know. I don't know who the target audience is. I don't know who's really happy that it's happening. I don't know what player that has like had it in a few years in the rear view would probably sit there and tell you like how much of a memory it is that they won the NBA Cup. Like it's an extra game that a lot of these teams who are in it, that because it's just going to reward. It's not very often like the Charlottes aren't going to win it. Like it's always just going to be like the Lakers when they're top 5 seed or the Thunder when they won 68 games. Like it's just going to be the good teams who are going to be competing for an actual championship. And now you're just adding another game of attrition to their schedule. So no, I don't think it's a long-term thing. Maybe we'll both be wrong. Maybe it's just because we have seen the league without it, but I don't see much value to it really at all.
Glad we can agree on something again. Again, it's always a great pleasure to have you on NBA Observations. It is Calif Poncy, but before we head on out, Calif, you've got something you want to go ahead and tell everybody out there to please help support you at and what you're doing right now for the Suave Report and anything else.
Yeah, so I've been pretty busy this last week with my job at the New Century Press here in Iowa. There's been a lot of high school tournaments going on and stuff, but Adam has written a couple. He wrote a good piece on AJ Mitchell. He released a good piece today on kind of Oklahoma City's unusual kind of persistence and rigor that they play with. So go ahead and read both of those. I'll probably have something here in the next few weeks, but it is a pretty busy season for me with all the playoffs that I'm covering up here. So for now, I'm just watching a lot of basketball and thinking of ideas for when I have a little bit more downtime. And it's kind of my deal right now. So go read Adam, and then I'll let everyone know whenever I have something come out here in the next few weeks.
Do you see AJ Mitchell following the same path line as Joe and Wiggins, just like getting seduced by the magical words of Sam Presti, maybe agreeing to a contract, their second contract in the league at a much more team friendly value because, you know, they're not sure where they're at in the league. Then you realize, they realize, wow, I'm a pretty dang good player. AJ Mitchell has popped and popped big in his second year. I don't think you're going to be able to get him out of the rotation for the best team right now in the NBA. Do you see him following that path, or maybe doing something a little bit more, how should I say, financially, maybe financially more impactful for his life going forward, i.e. getting a bigger contract somewhere else?
I mean, he kind of already did it, like really quietly this summer. The Thunder signed him to like a 3-year, $9 million contract.
Exactly what I mean.
Yeah, so he kind of already did. The Thunder have been really proactive about kind of. So I don't remember the exact structure of that one, but in the past they've signed guys off 2 ways onto those, and then it's a 2+1 with a team option, so that they're a restricted free agent if you decline the option. And so they still have another full, like at least like they could match whatever someone would pay him. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see who they can and can't keep and everything, but if he continues to develop, he's just this thing that they don't really have. And like Wiggins can create on the ball, but it's not like he's really best when he's in the corners and kind of spotting up. And AJ Mitchell is really good with the ball in his hands, and they just kind of needed that outside of Shea and Jalen Williams. And so he's really valuable to the Thunder and will be, especially if he continues to get better. So I think they're probably going to be willing to pony up a little bit to keep him, but they have a lot of guys coming up. I think Casey Wallace is going to be really expensive. Dort's contract is about to come up. We'll see what they do with Hartenstein. It's going to be interesting, but for now, I'd say AJ Mitchell's on a trajectory to be one of the probably 6 to 7 most important guys on the team, just based off of the skill set that he has that a lot of the role guys on the Thunder don't have, and they really need it. And like we talked about in the team preview, how the one thing that they have is their offense gets bogged down because they really just have these 2 guys who can do anything with the ball, and the rest of them are streaky shooters or defensive specialists or whatever. And AJ Mitchell's really came in. He's like, well, actually, we have 3 creators now, and he plays really well with Shea. So I think he's probably going to be around for the long term, especially since they have him as a restricted free agent in 2 years from now. So sorry to anyone praying on the Thunder's downfall there. I just think they're going to keep drafting these guys probably. It's just kind of what he does.
And they have lots of, again, unlike Brooklyn, I don't think they're going to miss the dartboard 5 straight times.
No, he'll hit on at least 1 or 2 of the 5 for sure. They should have consoled Sam Presti. Well, that was the interesting thing about Jemin is before that draft, the Thunder had 2 first-round picks, and they could only roster 1. So everyone thought they were going to probably like maybe package 15 and 23 to get up to like 11 or 10. And get a guy that they wanted. And after that draft, all the rumors were the guy Presti was planning to trade up for if he was there was Jemin. So the Nets at least had the Presti train of thought in mind when picking him. So
and he rarely misses, although I do love Poku. Always will love Poku. I'm so sorry to see Poku hopefully Poku will come back in the league. But
hey, he was a champion in Europe last year. All the Thunder guys are winning championships somewhere or another.
I'm telling you, I still think if he'd gained some weight and strength, I thought he had skills. And I'll leave it at that. But Dieng, I think, will be his biggest miss because he traded 3 first. Now, mind you, he has 100 first-round draft picks, especially at that time. But he traded 3 first-round draft picks and ended up the guy he picked afterwards was the one that was the star out of that whole deal. That's the irony of all that. I mean, even Sam Presti misses. But the last question I have for you: have you met Sam Presti in real life on the court? Have you ever had a chance to speak to him?
I've talked to him twice. I talked to him at Summer League 2 days in a row this year. And that was the first time I'd met him, and I just ran into him randomly in Vegas 2 days and had a conversation or 2 with him. But that's about it.
I want to ask you this because our conversations on our show lead us into a lot of places. And as you know, Mark Walter last week officially had a busy week. Mark Walter was officially named the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, him and the Guggenheim team, the whole, he is at the head of it. He is the face of this as far as the guy that's owning the Lakers, although it is a consortium that actually, owns the Lakers, but he is at the head of it. Jeannie is still the president for now, and Rob is still the GM, et cetera, goes on line, president, GM, whatever you want to call him. But let's just say it goes off the rails. There was a situation with the Dodgers where they had a good performing GM. I'm not going to call Rob a good GM because he's had his up and downs, and I think the book's still out on that one. But they had a good performing GM with the Dodgers. But Mark Walter got in there when he overtook the Dodgers and got someone that was even better ultimately for them and helped architect the team to what you see now, to where they've won back-to-back world championships. Lucky or not, they're still back-to-back world champions. Be that as it may, do you think that Mark Walter, if he decided to, could knock on the door of Oklahoma and ask for permission and back up the Brinks truck for Sam Presti? Because we know Sam Presti, obviously he's been entrenched there since the Seattle days. I get that. I understand that. But Oklahoma City has only paid him a certain amount as a president. And one of the biggest surprises in Oklahoma City is how much is he being paid as opposed to other individuals that hold the same position around the league. I think people would be surprised if I'm not mistaken. So that being said, Oklahoma City could say, you know what, you've set this up for a long time. Maybe it's best you might want to cash in. If that door comes knocking by the Lakers or someone else, I'm just using the Lakers as an example because they've already set the precedent Mark Walter has with the Dodgers. Do you think they would allow him to go ahead and take that opportunity? And do you think Sam Presti would take that opportunity to finish out his career as an executive somewhere else?
So Chris Mannix, I think, went on a podcast this summer, and he said I think Presti's contract expires in 2 or 3 seasons.
Okay. Because Connolly's was like a mystery. He was supposed to be a free agent, then quietly resigned, and nobody actually knew about it or whatnot. Because Connolly was the one we were eyeing first, but now that he supposedly resigned, Presti's name has kind of got a little bit of noise, just a little tiny bit of noise there. So.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. My advisor in college at Oklahoma State was Brett Dawson, who was a seasoned NBA reporter for a really long time, and he covered the Thunder for a long time. And I asked him about a similar question once, and he said he didn't know if he'd ever leave, but he didn't get the sense that he really wanted to he didn't think Presti was going to be one of these guys who's still GMing in 20 years from now. He thinks after maybe this era or maybe 15 more, whatever, maybe he'd probably be content and want him. I mean, he's a very worldly guy. He's just a really interesting person, Presti is. If you ever really listen to anyone talk about him, but I don't know. I would lean that if it got to that point, I think that Clay Bennett would probably do the Minnesota and offer Connolly or what they offered Connolly and maybe some ownership stake or something. Just because if you actually know about the team, more than Westbrook, more than Durant, more than Shea, Presti has been the team. Everything they've done has been because of him, really. So I think that to get him out the door, it would take a pretty ridiculous offer just because I think if it really came down to it, the Thunder would probably be willing to be pretty aggressive. That just is what makes sense to me. I obviously no one's told me that or anything, but I don't know. I mean, he also grew up in Boston as a huge Celtics fan in the 80s to the point where there was he wrote in, they were talking about it on Bill Simmons last year. They found a clip from 1994 of him writing into the Boston Globe saying, the Celtics should trade they should trade Mikal and trade who have all these old guys and tank and draft Jason Kidd with the first overall pick. And that's what he thinks they should do. And that was when he was 18 or 17 and living in Boston. So I'm assuming he's not the biggest fan of the Lakers just as a person and a fan, but I don't know. Anything's possible. I mean, the Lakers just randomly spawned Luka Doncic on their team last year. So I'm not going to rule anything out with the Lakers. They have a history of working magic with free agents, but or just outside acquisition. But I don't see any reason why he'd leave. I think he has he might be the only GM ever that has some chance to get a statue outside the arena, and I wouldn't be that shocked. Like, if I think he's that beloved in the community and by the fan base. And he's been there the whole time. Like you said, I mean, he's ever since they got there, he was appointed the GM before they were even Thunder. They've never had another guy run the show. So I think he probably will just stay with the Thunder the whole time, but I can't put it past him. Like, who knows? Maybe the Knicks or the Celtics or the Lakers, someone like that comes calling. Maybe he'd go to a really iconic franchise like that. But I don't know that he could get outside of the pay, which is obviously a big deal, but I don't think he could really get a better gig in terms of like job security. Like ownership does not interfere in Oklahoma City. They let him do whatever he wants. He runs the show. So I feel pretty safe. As this fan perspective of me feels pretty safe that he'll just be the GM of the Thunder till he retires. But who knows?
I'd say you're probably right. I'd put it at 95%.
Yeah,
that he's going to do that. He's going to stay. But at 5%, I'll just say this. $10 billion. Nobody thought that the Lakers would go for $10 billion this time last year. I thought 8, maybe 9 on an overbid by it was out to an entire list of parties. If Mark Walter had said no, I don't want to go ahead and buy the Lakers, and they put it out, maybe 8, high 9, maybe would have got, but 10 to 12 was the valuation on that. Ended up going for 10. So, if you're going to spend 10 billion on that, you might as well try to do what you can to get the best around it. And I'm not going to put it totally past it, but I agree with you. I mean, Sam Presti probably has had opportunities over the past decade and a half plus to move to another team, to build another team. I mean, they tell you can't go tampering with another player's front office, but you and I both know there's absolutely no tampering going on. No, absolutely none whatsoever. They never talk. They never congregate. They never have, just casual conversations together. Just, say, hey, Sam, you feeling good there in OKC? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not.
Yeah. There was always talks that the Knicks maybe came sniffing around a couple times when they were going through all their changes and he turned them down, but who knows if that's true or just fans being fans. I don't know, but well, yeah, I mean, he's so good. He's been there for 20 years. Somebody at some point has come along and tried to get him from the really small market, like for sure, and he hasn't. So we'll see what happens. I feel pretty good about him staying. He has an unlimited war chest. He has a bunch of 27 and younger stars. If he leaves, I don't think it would be till after this era. Like I think he'd want to see this era of this team that he built seen through, especially if they have a chance to win multiple championships. So, yeah. I don't know. You might just be stuck with Pelinka there for a while. So for every Austin Reeves, there'll be a whatever. I can't think
JHS.
of a Westbrook trade.
Yeah, JHS, THT. They all seem to be like 3-letter acronyms. JHS, THT. Yeah, just the list goes on and on. I mean, he was there in the room when Ivica Zubac was traded. Yes, for Mike Muscala. Mike effing Muscala.
Hey,
and I'll just
he is beloved in my neck of the woods. So
I know.
Better calm down on Mike Muscala over there.
I wish he would have stayed there and not been traded by the Lakers to the Lakers. And I'll just leave it at that. But because he was certainly not that individual at that point in time that the Lakers needed or wanted, and they didn't see the vision that a lot of us had for Ivica, what he could develop into, and boy, did he. He's still even having good seasons. Not quite as good a start as he did for last season, but man, I'll take 14-10, a block and a half, leading one of the better defenses in the league. I'll take that right now.
Zubats are dominating. I think we know which one you'd pick to be with Luka.
Oh yeah, I know which one I would pick indeed, but I'll leave it at that. But it is, of course, Calif Poncy. Please go ahead and support him today on all of his outlets. He'll be back on the Suave Report in the coming weeks, but for now, he is talking the NBA with us. Calif, just great to have you here, Calif. Just cannot thank you enough for stopping by. Looking forward to our conversation next week. But any last thoughts before we head on out?
I think we about covered most of what I've got going on. I think the Bulls are an interesting team to talk about that maybe we should hit here in the coming weeks if they keep up what they're doing.
Are they for real or not? I know what Mark, my friend in Australia, super fan of Josh Giddey, would tell me, but We'll find. I want to give it one more week.
I agree.
I want to gauge it. They had that loss in MSG. They have some defensive concerns I would have, but let me give it one more week on them to see how before we have that conversation whether it's real or not on them. That's that's what we'll do. We'll go real or not. We'll throw some teams at each other and decide if they're real or not.
Sounds great.
Yeah. And by then we'll be able, as long as you don't sit out, with hangnail. Yes. Observation. There you go. Absolutely. Just crazy. Lakers. Jesus. Once again, it's Calif Poncy. Please go ahead and support him today. You got a Twitter. Is that correct? Or
yeah,
social media?
Yeah, it's just at Poncy Calif. It's just my name backwards. That's all my Twitter is. And then that's about the only one I'm very active on. So
there you go. Well, at Poncy Calif right there for you. Once again, truly appreciate you stopping by, Calif. Looking forward to some more NBA observations next week right here on the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.